everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Port Waves. This is a new monthly podcast from the Port of Long Beach's Human Resources Division. I'm Edna Dominguez. I'm an HR business partner here at the Port of Long Beach.
And hey everyone, I'm Vickie Gordon. I work as the Learning and Development Coordinator in the HR division. And together, Edna and I will be your hosts.
We want this show to be a place where we can dive into topics and issues that are important to you, the people who make the Port of Long Beach work. Each month, we'll be telling you about opportunities right here at the Port. Things like trainings, new openings, special events, and anything that can help you grow personally and professionally.
We also want to highlight you, our Port teammates, and the work you do here at the Harbor Department. It's been said that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Each month, we'll be sharing stories from a member of the Port's team about times they've had to leave their comfort zones.
We'll hear about the challenges they face, the lessons they learned, and how they've adapted and become more resilient in the process. But before we get to our first interview, we have an important date to share with you. Vickie?
Thanks, Edna. Mark your calendars for June 24th for our summer orientation. We'll have details about that in the next episode of Port Waves. And now, Edna, tell us about your first interview.
For our first episode, I sat down with Dr. Noel Hasagaba. Noel wears many hats. He's a Deputy Executive Director of the Port, a band member, pastor, an avid reader, and a guitar enthusiast. In my conversation with Noel, we explore the idea of being comfortable with being uncomfortable and how creating habits and routines can help us grow. Noel shares some valuable insights and perspectives on these topics that I think you'll find really inspiring. Let's go to my conversation with Noel.
I started early. I was 12 years old when I got my first guitar. And what got me interested is I was watching A Hard Day's Night, and there was a scene of George Harrison playing his 12-string Rickenbacker. And when I saw that, I said, I want to play the guitar. And so my very first guitar was a very cheap knockoff that my parents bought me in Mexico. And that little guitar came with a little pamphlet with 8 or 10 chords. So I learned all the chords. I didn't know music theory, so I just started learning the chords. And over time, as I listened to different songs and different music, I was able to put the chords together. And that's how I learned. It was self-taught.
So that's the Rickenbacker. That's what you play now, right, with the TUs?
So I have a number of guitars. My wife thinks I have too many. But the one of the guitars I played at the State of the Port, for example, was a knockoff Rickenbacker. It looks like a Rickenbacker and sounds like a Rickenbacker, but it's not quite a Rickenbacker.
How do you manage all of this with, you're a pastor, you're a deputy director, you're a band member? How do you make yourself organized and just kind of, go about your day with all these tasks that you have?
I learned some time ago that you only have so much time. The most valuable resource each of us has at our disposal is time. And managing your time, managing your energy go hand in hand. And I've learned over time that as you grow up and as you mature in a career, as your roles expand, for example, in the context of a family, when children come, you have to be very intentional about what you think truly matters and what the true priorities are. So, for example, what I do as a daily routine is every single morning, it's all about getting my mindset and getting my my perspective right, and making sure when I walk out the door, I leave the door with the right attitude and the right mindset. And for me, it's about reminding myself how blessed I am, how grateful I am, thinking about all the things that I have that a lot of people don't have: a family, good health, a good job, and those things. Fuel in me the right attitude, the right perspective, so that when I come to the workplace, I come with that very positive, grateful attitude.
Yeah. I just find that, when you're dreading, there's I don't want to go to work tomorrow, but you have to think about it well, I have a job to go to. So just kind of turning it into a positive.
That's right.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because every time I see you in the building, you're always smiling and you try to greet everybody. So what is it that motivates you throughout the day? Just having that positive attitude in the morning? Do you listen to something like music in the morning?
I used to listen to a lot of music before. These days it's toned down, right? So I listen to a lot of classical music, and normally it's in the background, but it helps me to concentrate and helps me, keep some of the noise and chatter and distractions out, especially when I'm doing emails or things of that sort. But for me, what puts the smile on my face, I think it goes back to attitude. I'm grateful to be able to be part of this wonderful organization, to be part of this amazing team. I think about what the Port of Long Beach represents in the port sector, in the port industry. And if you think about what we've done just in the last 3 years, even during the pandemic, how many projects we've delivered, how many new policies and initiatives we've launched, how high we've raised the bar in environmental stewardship. The completion of the bridge, the new Long Beach Container Terminal, the wharf extension, the Supply Chain Information Highway, the Zero Policy, offshore wind that was launched at the State of the Port. No other port in America does that. No other port in America is doing what we're doing. And I believe one of the reasons is because no other port in America has the team that we have. And so to me, to be part of this amazing team drives me. It fuels me. And to me, it's always a pleasure to be able to come to work and know that I'm part of an amazing team.
How do you find the time to interact one-on-one with everybody and give everybody, because you're very good about greeting everybody. How do you manage that with so many teams you oversee?
Well, again, it goes back to being intentional, right? I recognize that there are so many hours in a day, and I'm also a family man. I have a wife, I have 2 daughters, and I recognize my responsibilities to my family as well. So not getting home too late, making sure I have some quality time with my family is important to me. So I have so many hours during the day to devote to this wonderful organization. So one of the things that I do is most of my meetings are only 30 minutes long. And I've learned that you can get a lot of stuff done in 30 minutes. In fact, most of the meetings that in the past were an hour long are now 30 minutes, and we accomplish what those meetings were scheduled to do. So that's one thing. The second thing is, as much as I can, whenever I meet teammates, is I like to meet them in their offices, on their floors. It gets me out of my office, and on the way to meet the teammate or the team that I'm going to be meeting with, I run into teammates in the elevator, in the stairwell, on the floor, and I love that. I enjoy meeting new teammates that came on board during the pandemic, who I had not seen in person until now. And I love reconnecting with other teammates as well. So I think part of it is just being intentional, making yourself visible, putting yourself in a position where you're running into employees, you're seeing them. And for me, it's about recognizing, and maybe not just even recognize, but affirming them, saying, hey, thanks for what you do. I really appreciate what you do for the organization. At the Service Awards, I shared a story that I like to tell about former President Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was visiting NASA in Houston. And at one point during his visit, he broke away from the entourage and all the executives at NASA that were showing him around, and he introduced himself to a custodial worker. And when the president asked the custodial worker what he did, he said, I help launch rockets into space. And to me, it's a powerful story that reminds us how important it is as a leader of an organization to affirm people and say what you do day in and day out contributes to the broader goal. It's an integral piece. It's an important piece. And I think teammates across the organization need to hear that. Mm-hmm. They need to know how an engineering project or an environmental policy or a contract or a real estate transaction or how a security posture, how a human resources initiative, they need to be able to know how it all connects and is a part and parcel to our broader goal as a facilitator of international trade, as a major gateway, not just in America, but in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think when people make that connection, it motivates them and it makes them realize how significant their job is. And that, I believe, is what puts smiles on people's faces.
And as a leader, are there certain resources that you utilize to, kind of support your own development and growth for yourself? Do you like to listen to specific podcasts? Are there any books that you may recommend? I know a lot of people are really interested, maybe want to know about the kind of books you like to read. Anything that has motivated you to, kind of get to where you are now and just...
Absolutely. I'm a voracious reader. People ask me, what do you do when you're not working, when you want to just unplug. I enjoy watching TED Talks, for example. Simon Sinek is one of the folks that I enjoy watching. I grew up on the classics, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I love reading some of the more current work that's based on that and that actually builds on McCovey's work and the work of others along those lines. For example, Atomic Habits.
I just started reading that.
It's a wonderful read.
Yeah.
And it addresses, the core question, why is it that people who have good intentions and have the desire to do something can never manage to get there? And Atomic Habits breaks it down. It gets into the psychology of what it really takes to get to transformation, right? If I want to give up certain things and do other things, he breaks it down for you, right? And it's all about building systems that enable habits, because it's the habits that carry us ultimately, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm reading that, for example, as well. But I've been a long time reader of John Maxwell, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Really believe in this notion that leadership is influence, and you have different degrees of influence with different people. And part of the task of an effective leader is recognizing what your influence is with others and constantly building on that.
Yeah, and I think also, you don't have to necessarily be a manager or a director to be a leader. So these are really great books that you mentioned. I really like Atomic Habits so far. I think also the idea of, doing things out of your comfort zone sometimes can be a little difficult. So just knowing how to build on those habits and create something that will help your personal development. It's just, it can be hard at first, but I think it's a good place to start.
One of the things I learned early on is, the best way to grow, when you talk about personal growth and development, is to put yourself out of your comfort zone. Do things you're uncomfortable with. Do things that are challenging for you, because that's what gets you to expand, right? That's what forces you to pick up new skills and to learn new things. Because like everything else, it's all about familiarity. It's once you do something and you keep doing it over and over again, over time you develop that comfort. And the other thing you said that I want to pick up on is, as a manager, leadership is not title, right? It's not position. It's influence. And I like to tell folks that aspire to grow in an organization, aspire to one day become a manager or a leader, is remember that leadership action precedes leadership title. People that eventually end up with a position or a title are people that normally demonstrated leadership before they got the title. And I think that's an important thing to remember.
There's so many moving parts to this organization. There's so many individuals who contribute to what it is that the port does. And all of these pieces are important because at the end of the day, we're all a big team. So I wanted to ask you, what do you see the port moving into in the next 5 years? What do you think is kind of your vision for the port?
Let me pick up on what you just said a moment ago about the team, because really the team is all of us, right? From our board of Harvard commissioners to our executive director, Mario Cordero. We're all part of one team, whether it's policy setting, managing, directing, and all the tasks that come with the different functions. It's recognizing that it's going to take all of us to get this done. I think over the next 5 years, the Port of Long Beach will continue to be a leader and a trailblazer in the area of environmental stewardship. There's going to be a lot more emphasis on making sure that our teammates have the development opportunities and are equipped so that we can meet the challenges of the future. Because all these initiatives that I just mentioned are going to require expertise. They're going to require us as an organization to pivot. And I think that these challenges are going to force us as an organization to realign to meet them. And I have every confidence that we're going to be in a position to do that. And then beyond that, we're known internationally as a customer service friendly port. And although our volumes may be down in the first couple of months of 2023, I have every confidence that we will regain our standing as the second largest seaport in America. And in the years ahead, with the developments such as Long Beach Container Terminal and others, it's just a matter of time before we become America's leading green port. And that's what excites me.
Welcome back to Port Waves. Thanks again to Deputy Executive Director Dr. Noel Hasagaba for coming onto the show. I'm your host, Edna Dominguez.
And I'm Vickie Gordon. I want to share a quote with you from the iconic Audrey Hepburn. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. And with that in mind, I want to tell you about some upcoming events and training. On May 5th, come and join the Employees Club for their Cinco de Mayo bowling event. Get ready to lace up your bowling shoes, roll some strikes, and enjoy a festive celebration with your colleagues. If you would like to participate, reach out to Jose Cruz or Ophelia Alvarado. We have an outside vendor, CPS HR, covering a training on telling your story with data on May 17. Expect to receive an email with more information and a registration link.
And if you don't have access to our learning management system, you can request an SSO link at traininganddevelopment@plb.com. Our LMS offers more than 500 courses on professional development, work-life balance, and much more.
Now, let's get to the fun stuff, highlights and shout-outs. First, a highlight. We spoke with Sophia Tran from Finance about why this is her port of choice.
Hi, my name is Sophia Tran. I'm the accountant from Port Finance Division. When I came to the port, I feel like it's a family to me. The mission, the goal, and the kind of work that is aligned with what I really want to do, especially how the port is very supportive of the community. It's not just pursuing only toward profit, but their mission is also to promote healthy environment and work-life balance. People are asking me, why you stay so long? 15 years to go to 16 years with the port. Hey, what can I say? Because this is like a second family to me. So I guess it's like each person has a goal in mind where they want to be, right? So if you're comfortable and you find your family, that way you're going to be landed and stay there. I don't know what else I can share with you. That's it.
Thanks for sharing with us, Sophia. Now it's time for shout-outs. This is a part of the show where you can nominate one of your teammates for some extra recognition. Email us at traininganddevelopment@plb.com if you would like to nominate someone, and tell us why you're nominating them.
I'm going to kick things off. I want to give a special shout out to Jose Cruz and Survey. Thank you, Jose, for your creativity and always going the extra mile to bring our port family together.
We'll also be recognizing retirements, promotions, and new additions to the family here on Port Waves. And of course, we can't forget birthdays. This month, we're wishing a happy birthday to Carlo Lucci in Tenant Services,
Victor Sagredo in Program Management,
Marian Elisaro in Maintenance,
Lee Peterson in Communications,
Victor Dimac in Human Resources,
Dan Ramsey in Environmental Planning,
Andrea Olea in Human Resources,
Bruce Hong in Information Management,
Brian Hinkle in Maintenance,
Edna Dominguez in Human Resources,
and Rogelio Reed in Maintenance.
We want to take the time to congratulate Salvador Ramirez and Leona Utu on their retirement. We wish you all the best.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Port Waves. Please share any feedback or suggestions on future episodes by emailing us at traininganddevelopment@plb.com. Watch for the next episode of Port Waves coming at the end of May, and thanks for listening.
Port Waves is made possible by your host, Edna Dominguez and Vickie Gordon. Produced by the Communications Division, Chris Berry and Kevin Walker.